Thank you, contest Toastmasters, and guests. About a year and a half ago, some friends of our family got married, and they're very enthusiastic environmentalists and very strong supporters of reuse, recycle, repurpose. So with that in mind, when we got our wedding shower invitations, my youngest daughter and I made the rounds of resale stores and consignment shops. We went to estate sales. We even made a day of it and went down to Wilmington and strolled through all the antique stores, but we didn't find anything that we really thought would work. So then one day I remember I used to work with a woman that was a fan of pawn shops. So I call my daughter, call Cass by name, and I tell her, we talk about it, and we agree it might be worth a shot. But now we're running against the time constraints, so I said, okay, let me get ready and I'll come over and pick you up. After we hung up, her husband came home, Mike by name, and they're doing the normal married couple chit-chat thing, and she sees me pull up in front of the house, and she says, "Oh, there's Mom. We're going shopping for shower gifts. Tell her I'll be right back down." So she starts running up the stairs, and he says, "Oh, okay, where are you going?" And she says, "A porn store." So I just walked into the front door then, and Mike turns to me and he said, "Cass just told me where you're going, and I've got to tell you, I'm pretty surprised." Now, in all the years I've known my son-in-law, I have never heard the slightest hint of disapproval in his voice, so I'm pretty surprised by this. And I said, "Well, I know it isn't everybody's cup of tea, but I used to work with a woman who went to the one at Madison and Western pretty often, and she used to buy gifts there all the time." And he said, "Really? What kind of gifts did she buy?" And I said, "Well, I didn't actually ever see any of them, but I remember her telling me about some kind of a ring that she bought for her husband that he liked a lot." So Cass comes down the steps. Their kids start piling in the back door, so we left. So again, we don't find anything that we really like, but we did see a croquet set. Now, come to find out that Cass and Mike had very pleasant memories of playing croquet as kids, and they had always intended to buy a croquet set, but it just never happened. So I said, "I would love to buy this for you. Let me buy this for you." So we go back home, go to the house, and we walk in, and Mike says, "Well, did you find anything?" And Cass says, "Well, not for the shower, but we did find something that you are going to love. Mom bought it." And he said, "Something I'm going to love?" And I said, "Yeah, and it's very much like one my folks had when we were kids." So I said, "Come on, let's go get it. It's in the trunk." And he said, "The trunk?" I said, "Yeah." I said it was too big to fit into the back seat. So I still am getting this very strong feeling of tension from him. So I put my arm through his as we're walking through the door, and we're walking down the sidewalk to the car. And I said, "You know, Mike, when I was a kid, my friends and I used to take the Archer bus downtown in the south end of the loop on State Street. Well, it was Skid Row in those days. But they had a lot of these stores. And I would always wonder what went on in those places. I always wanted to go in, but of course I was too young. And of course now the South Loop is all gentrified. But I have noticed that the stores have started to sprinkle into the neighborhoods. And in fact, I passed a couple of them before I even realized what they were. So now we've gotten to the trunk, and I've put the key in the in the lock. And I turned to him, and if I hadn't looked at him at that precise second, I would have missed this really bizarre combination of bewilderment and horror flit across the back of his eyes. So I throw the trunk open, and he kind of doesn't say anything for a couple of seconds. And he said, where did you get this? And I said, a pawn shop on Southwest Highway. And he doesn't say anything again for a second, and then he went, yeah. So he picked it up, carried it up to the porch, and set it down. Turns out where they played croquet for the rest of the summer and pretty far into the fall. For the shower, I bought a very nice, although it was new, set of bed linens, and Cass bought a walk.